Welcome to Advocacy at 8. I am Sandra Jill Poland, your community legal advocate. Advocacy at 8 is my new YouTube legal series, which launched last Monday, October 1st, 2018. This series of legal education videos will be posted daily on YouTube at 8 p.m. Each video, in 8 minutes or less, will educate you on an important legal issue. You and your community at large will be enlightened and empowered. Thank you and your community for viewing Advocacy at 8. I am Attorney Sandra Jill Poland, your community legal advocate. This week's topic is trust. In our last video, we talked about spendthrift trust. Check out that video, Trust Part 5, to see how spendthrift trusts operate. In Trust Part 4, I discussed special needs trusts. Please view that video to see how special needs trust operates. In Trust Part 3, I talked about generation skipping trust. And in my second video, I discussed the difference between a will and a trust and defined and distinguished executors and administrators. In my first video, I defined a trust and then defined other legal terms such as asset, beneficiary, inter vivos trust, and testamentary trust that we used in our discussion regarding trust. Today we're going to be talking about Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. If you need long-term nursing care and you've not set aside funds for that, Medicaid may be a source for the long-term care. But you will have to qualify for Medicaid funding if you're not able to self-fund your long-term care. To qualify for Medicaid, your assets must be limited. Assets placed in a properly drafted Medicaid Asset Protection Trust do not count towards assets when qualifying for Medicaid. The trust shields assets and Medicaid. The trust shields assets from Medicaid and preserves the assets for your family, meaning that if you put your assets in a Medicaid trust, you can qualify for Medicaid. That's big news, especially when you compare establishing a trust with other avenues people take to qualify for Medicaid funding. Some individuals, let's say an individual has a home, they often transfer the deed to an adult child to qualify for Medicaid. Are there any problems with that? Yes. First of all, let's say that you have a $250,000 home and you transfer that home to your oldest daughter, who, let's say at the time, is married with 2 sons. 2 years later, you need to enter a nursing home, and 1 year after that, your funds run out. You will not qualify for Medicaid because Medicaid will look back, see the transfer, and because it's within that period of time that Medicaid's treat that transfer still that it's your own asset, they're going to still say that $250,000 home is your asset, even though you tried to transfer it out to your daughter 2 years before. So the end result is you did not qualify for Medicaid, and unless you transfer the home back in your name, that house is now in your daughter's name, and it's your daughter's house legally because it's titled in her name. That means, one, if she gets a divorce and the house is still titled in her name, her spouse or ex-spouse may be awarded part of the value of that house as marital assets. Or two, if your daughter has creditors, the creditors can legally treat that house as their own asset in their efforts to collect on their debt. Or three, if your daughter wanted to, she could mortgage the house if the house remains in her name. So those are 3 possible consequences, unintended, but still consequences that can occur with the transfer of your house into your daughter's name. So how does Medicaid Asset Protection Trust work in this scenario? A Medicaid Asset Protection Trust is an irrevocable trust, which means that when you transfer an asset into the trust, it no longer belongs to you and you cannot take it back. 2, because you've permanently removed it from your control and ownership, Medicaid cannot treat it as one of your assets. 3, also, since the house is now in the Medicaid Asset Protection Trust and is titled in the name of the trust, your daughter's creditors, ex-spouse, cannot reach or get hold of the house. With a Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, you can continue to live in the property after the home is placed in the trust. So the Medicaid Asset Protection Trust is a very, very valuable tool. And like the Spendthrift Trust and the Special Needs Trust, this trust is a vehicle that most families will want to know about. It's not just for the super wealthy. You will want to know how it works and how it will help your planning needs to protect and preserve your assets. This is what we've tried to do in this episode, tell you the benefits of a Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. Thank you.